right, I'm excited too. It's the Chatelaine edition of City Line. We're doing a little bit of holiday, a little bit of decor, and a really big treat for our audience today. Please welcome designer Sarah Richardson joining us on City Line. Yeah, baby. You're a bit of a rock star, honey. I love it. Sarah's freaking out. Okay, so you brought a little bit of Sarah magic to our set today. And so many people look at the rooms you design and they think, how does she do that? Where does she start?
Right.
And you can sort of teach people your method. You start with fabric.
I often start with fabric. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't have to be where you start. You can be inspired by anything, but I find that fabric instantly sets the tone for a room. So as soon as you've chosen a fabric, you know, is it modern? Is it traditional? Is it bold? Is it more reserved? And I think a patterned fabric especially, I mean, you're not gonna get that statement out of a solid,
Right.
but if you start with a patterned fabric, like, let's look at the drapes here.
Beautiful.
You instantly have, I call it a mood indicator. It's going to tell you something about where that room is headed.
Okay.
Is it juvenile? Is it childish? Is it playful? Is it sophisticated? You know, is it very fancy? Is it shimmery and shiny? So if you can land on an inspiration point with a fabric, it sets you off in the right direction.
So you're all talking about tone then, and I think tone is so important. When you go into a space, you have to know.
Yeah.
I want this to be ladies sitting and drinking tea. I
Right.
want this to be us hanging out with bottles of wine around us,
Right.
having some fun on the shag rug, right?
I want this to be like, look how fun, look how colorful,
Look at how
great
fun
this
this
is.
Right.
Or cozy, or you know,
Yeah.
calm and quiet. And so if you're stumbling as a starting point, I always think that that's an easy starting point, because as soon as you've sort of latched on to that one patterned element, everything else will fall in line more easily, because you'll know, does this go, you know, do the tables with the scalloped edge go with the feeling of this patterned fabric? But more importantly, as your next step after choosing the fabric, you can head in the direction of a color palette.
Right.
So if you look here, any patterned fabric will probably have somewhere between 8 and 12 colors used to create it.
So that's a big range if you're
Right.
thinking of what do I want to paint the wall, what kind of sofa do I want to get.
You can draw the colors out. Usually there's a legend down the side, which I can show, that has all of the different colors that are used in that fabric. My trick is match them up using a paint fan deck, and instantly you know what colors are going to look terrific on the wall, and what colors will be good complements to this fabric that you're starting with. And you can even take that into other rooms in the house.
Right. Now you have made it super duper easy, because I'll be honest with you, people come in and they see this and they see this mix and matching and they kind of freak out.
And they say, how would I ever put all this together?
How would I ever put this together? So what you've done with Sarah Richardson Design for Cravat, you have entire palettes picked out.
Right.
So it takes the guesswork out. So you've brought some of them here to show us. So when someone would go to Cravat, or if you're in Toronto Designer Fabrics, would they see sort of all of these together?
You can see all of the fabrics, and they're shown in collections. Because the thing for me is, when we talk about, if you look at this fabric here on the side, this shows the fabric legend. So this shows right here. See how I said 12 colors? There are your colors, 1 to 12, right there.
Oh, look at that. Okay, so you've got the legend there, and then you just get your paint chips and you match it up.
And you match it up. But when I put together a room, by the time I'm finished a living room or maybe a dining room, I've used 10 to 12 fabrics. Which people at the beginning say, what? Why so many? That's too many fabrics. But by the time you think about the sofa, the chairs, the drapes, the footstools, the pillows, the accents on the pillows, you're there. You're at 10 or 12 fabrics. So I created a collection that has my signature palettes. We've got more colors than just what's shown here. You got lots of neutrals, because that's a great place to start, to have a neutral foundation, and then you can layer in as much color as you feel comfortable with.
Okay.
But greens, blues, and there's about 12, and they all go together.
Okay, I love this one. Now let's pretend I'm your client, okay? This happens only in my dreams. Let's pretend I'm your client, and I love this color palette.
Okay.
But I have a sofa, I have a couple of chairs, I have cushions. Do you know instinctively what which pattern you're going to pick for my big furniture pieces, or do you need to see my room, you need to see my house? Like, is there something here that screams sofa?
You know what? I didn't bring the neutrals. There's a whole collection of
So you would go
weaves
for a
and neutrals.
neutral.
So generally speaking, the investment pieces in a room, which I call the fixed pieces. So the things you're not going to change too often. It's going to be a sofa.
Yeah.
We've got this in a gray linen. The chairs.
It's always going to work.
You're gonna invest, and so a solid or a neutral or a weave is always your best way to go there. And then I like to bring a room to life with accents. I mean, a pair of occasional chairs done in this paisley, because I love paisley.
Yes.
I love me some paisley.
Yeah.
Would be great, but you don't have to. If you don't feel. The whole thing about decorating is it's an investment. We cannot say that it's not an investment. It's a bit about, you know, you go out shopping, you're having a great time, you get your credit card bill and you go, ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Hope my husband likes it. So it's really important to choose things that are going to work for you for the long haul. So I like to use fabrics, patterned fabrics for updates. You can use them for drapes. You can use them for pillows. You know, it's about living within your comfort zone and knowing how much or how little color you can live with.
And make no mistake, you might be spending a good amount of money, as you mentioned, for those drapes, where you know you very gingerly picked out the fabric, but it is an investment.
Well, so if you surround yourself with things you love, you won't get tired of them. If you are in a rush and you buy something on a whim that's trend based, it may not last.
That's true. That's why I surround myself with chocolate mostly.
I
will always love chocolate.
And I surround myself with blues and greens,
there
which I've never grown tired. These are all
that.
Still my friends.
Yes, they are. All right, thank you very much for making it easy for us. And in keeping with the design theme, everyone in today's audience will take home a copy of Great Design thanks to DK Publishing. Enjoy. Get some inspiration from there. Let's go to break. This is Traveling Edition of City Line. Stay with us.